everyone, this is Catherine Oaks with Leaders Uncut. And today I have the pleasure to welcome Naren Nath, who is with Finaya. Hi, Naren, how are you doing today?
I'm very well, Catherine. Good to meet you.
Yeah, very nice to meet you. So tell us about what you're doing with Finaya. Give us a little bit of information on your background and what is your vision and mission and goal with the company?
Yeah, absolutely. So my background is essentially, so for the past 10 months or so, I've been a co-founder and CEO at Finaya. And prior to that, I was running digital products and transformation and customer experience at Wells Fargo Home Lending. So that's where some of the insights and ideas behind Finaya were prompted by. Prior to that, my background has been heavily in high tech and e-commerce and online travel. So I was at Microsoft for many years, including in their internet and e-commerce division. As a Trilogy Software, I did a couple of different ventures, one in the e-commerce space, working with big e-commerce companies, and one in the online travel space, working with the major travel sites and so forth. So I have a lot of experience essentially in digital media, e-commerce, et cetera. And also my background prior to that is like I have a MBA from Stanford and a master's and an undergrad in computer science. So kind of combine the tech and the business side of things in what I'm coming at. But what's interesting is in some ways Finaya kind of encapsulates a lot of these different learnings and experiences into one venture. So the context for Finaya is essentially in one of the largest industries that are out there, which is real estate. It is still an industry that works largely like it did 20, 30 years ago. So it's a very fragmented, siloed industry. It's very manual, which means it's very expensive and risk prone. And it also has significant challenges in terms of customer experience. So at the end of the day, the customer still gets a very poor experience. And so that's leaving significant opportunity on the table, both for consumers, but also for the providers who serve them. Essentially, it's a very transactional, episodic, sales-driven industry. And so the opportunity for us is to build something that's similar to an Amazon, similar to an Expedia or a Booking.com. So in other words, a customer-centric front end, and now especially enabled and empowered by AI, to make it much lower friction and a much better experience for end consumers. And ironically, in doing so, a much better experience for service providers as well. Because real estate agents and mortgage brokers and service providers aren't exactly loving the current model either, where you pay for leads, you have to scramble for customers, and then you have to have a very manual sales process. And then once the customer is done buying or selling their home, then for 10 years, the average consumer stays in their home for 10 years. And so it's a very episodic transactional model, and we're looking to change that. So the vision for Finaya is basically to be a one-stop kind of marketplace for all things homeownership. So we describe it as an AI-powered, cloud-based platform and super apps for homeownership. So when we say homeowner, and that's quite a mouthful, so let me unpack that a little bit. So when we say homeownership, that itself is sort of radical in this industry because the industry thinks in terms of, okay, there's real estate, there's mortgage, there's title and closing, there's insurance, there's remodeling, there's repair, all of these different things that, that's how the industry is structured, but it's still the same consumer. So that in and of itself is not very customer centric. So what we're saying is homeownership includes all of those things, all things related to a consumer. It's the same consumer, it's the same home. And our vision is to bring it all together to reduce friction for both the consumer and the service provider. So then the term super app. So what we mean by super apps is instead of having you go to one place for your real estate searching, then you talk to a salesperson for your real estate agent, then you go to another place for a mortgage calculator, then another place to apply for a mortgage. All of these things are separate places. And so in a super app, we bring all of these things together. So the consumer is still doing one transaction, it's just a connected transaction. There are multiple things happening, so we bring it all together. One key thing we do is we engage the consumer much earlier in the journey. So a lot of times the industry will engage consumers when they're about to buy a home or about to sell a home. We engage them well before they are ready to buy them, could be years before that. Because if you want to expand the market, if you want to make home ownership more available to more people, you have to meet them where they are, where consumers are. And research shows that there's significant knowledge and trust gaps. So we're looking to bridge that. So there's part of our site called the Learn section, which is simply to educate consumers about how do you prepare to buy a home. And we're not trying to sell anything. There's no need to buy anything. You just simply get familiar. And whenever you're ready to move forward, you can. Another example of engaging the consumer through the life cycle of their journey is we have, and it's going to be launching here in the next week, but we have a My Home section. So as I mentioned, the average consumer lives in a house for about 10 years. And so the industry kind of has a whole lot of activity, at the buy and the sell, and then not that much in the middle. So what we're seeing is there's a lot of things that consumers are doing in between buying and selling a home. So on average, the cost of home ownership is about $18,000 a year. So there's that much work, that much expense is being incurred, but it's all episodic and transactional. So what we provide is a continuous engagement model. We provide home values, how much equity you have, what is the condition of your property, do you need your roof repaired, how long is the heater? So a lot of ongoing value so the consumer can find benefit in working with us. And then we have all that data. So when it's time for the next transaction, like a refinance or even selling your home, we already have that. We don't have to go collect all that from scratch. So that's kind of the vision, is this end-to-end platform. And now with Gen AI that we're just getting ready to deploy as well, we have data across the entire journey. It's not just like we only have real estate data, we only have property data. We have data holistically. So we're hypothesizing that our Gen AI will also be more comprehensive because we have more information to work with. So that's kind of the overall vision and why we're coming at it.
But that's wonderful. Again, it's another example of a transformational change. It's disrupting the industry completely because you're bringing everything together, and AI is facilitating all of this, which is incredible. So wonderful thing to see, because there's a need. There is definitely a need out there. You're making it easier for people to transact, to sell, or to buy a new home or an existing home. So that's great to see. So Naren, what have been your biggest challenges?
Yeah, I think some of the big challenges are just, anytime you do something different, you have to sort of help people understand why that's needed. So even before we talk about what we're doing, we talk about why we're doing it. What are we seeing in the industry that's prompting us to do this? So I think one challenge is, of course, helping people understand a different point of view. And frankly, the only reason I came to this point of view was because I spent so much time in other industries like e-commerce and travel that do this very well. So in other words, I've personally been part of seeing how the story plays out. And so, in fact, a funny story is like when I came into this industry and I asked, like, why is something like Amazon or Expedia or et cetera not happened before? The commonest answer I got was nobody's even asked the question, like what's behind the question, right? So I think one challenge is just, getting people who are used to doing things a certain way for 30 years to say, okay, there's a better way. It's better not just for the consumer, but also for the service providers. And then the other challenge is typical, new venture execution challenge, which is right now we have many more partners wanting to work with us than we have the resources to deploy. So we're just trying to deploy them as best as we can. So we're trying to, on the one hand, get more business traction, but at the same time, we're getting resources, trying to get resources through funding. So it's just kind of, managing that cycle of and then you have to prioritize relentlessly because you have many more things you could be doing than what we have the ability to. So I'd say it's those two things. One is helping share this vision so more people and once we describe it, most people say, oh yeah, of course, that's a big need. But we still have to articulate that vision. And then the other is executing that vision with the usual new venture kind of bootstrap situation.
Yeah, I understand. It's typical of a startup, right? You have to get the right investments in so that you have the money to continue your venture. And then spread the word, which is one of the reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Right.
How businesses like you expand their reach, get known, present their brand, present their vision, and they get. Sometimes you're going to find assistance that you did not know you would possibly.
Right.
That's wonderful. So just one more thing I'd like to ask you is if you had one advice to give to people right now in the business world or in your industry, what would that be?
Yeah, I think I'd probably say one of the things that the industry and traditional training in the industry kind of talks a lot about is product market fit, right? You hear that a lot. I would actually flip that around. I think the better way to come at it is market product fit. And what I mean by that is it's a small tweak in how you talk about it, but product market fit leads with product, and this says, well, you have a product, and now you're finding where there's a fit with the market. I actually think it's better to start the other way around, which is, what is the market? What is the need in the market? What is the problem you're trying to solve? And then the product is a solution to that. And one reason I think that's particularly pertinent right now is a lot of people get excited about cool technology or shiny new objects and say, isn't this really cool? And a lot of examples, it's in the AI space right now. And yeah, lots of things are very cool, right? But ultimately, if they're not solving a real need for real customers, they're not going to go far. So I'd say that probably the biggest thing is to flip that paradigm from product market fit to market product fit. And there's some couple other things I'd sort of, I think I've learned along the way. But if they had one thing I had to distill, I'd probably say it's that.
That makes sense. Absolutely makes sense. That's wonderful. So if people want to help you or connect with you or participate in your venture, what's the best way to reach you, Naren?
Yeah, the best way is just my email. So my direct email is naren.nath@finaya.com. And that's the best way to get in touch with me. I think one quick thing is the word Finaya basically means an invocation to come together for finance, for personal finance. So it's an invocation to come together. So very much a partner first model. And if anybody would like to be part of this journey to engage with us, very easy to get in touch with me.
Wonderful. And of course, your website is finaya.com.
Right.
And that's great. Well, thank you so much for your time. And we'll keep in touch. If anyone, please, wants to help Naren, please share Naren's video here, share it with your network, and let's help each other out. Thank you very much, Naren. Thanks, everyone, and see you next time.
Thanks, Catherine. Very good to meet you.